Hello, my name is Stevie Dubins, and I'm about to take you on a wild ride through my Pokémon Omega Ruby run featuring the one and only Stall Goat Lotad. So, hold on to your hats because in the Elite Four, I'll be flaunting Lotad's 3 different abilities and 5 different sets, and you don't want to miss how I end up finishing that one off. Now, why in the world do I call Lotad the Stall Goat? Well, let me break it down for you. First off, Watergrass is a killer defensive type with only 3 weaknesses: Flying, Poison, and Bug. And guess what? Only one of those types has a gym leader in this region. And trust me, we'll get to that nightmare later on. That fight is so bad, I'm not sure how much I will end up showing of it. But that's not all. Lotad boasts a 4 times resist against water, which, as we know, is very important in Hoenn.
But I'm not done yet!
Lotad can rock Leech Seed with the Rain Dish ability, which heals it for 1/16 of its health each turn in the rain. And when we slap on some leftovers, this fella is an immovable force. But wait, there's more. Lotad has an offensive side too. It can unleash some special surf spam in the rain with Swift Sim, or go all out on the physical side with Seed Bomb and Swords Dance. It's basically a Swift Army Knife type of Pokemon. Now, let's be real. There are a couple of drawbacks. For one, it's still a Lotad, and the super effective Surf is basically a love tap on any Pokemon. Plus, it's slower than a Snorlax, unless it's raining, which can be a real pain because we're only stuck with 4 moves. If Lotad could use like 6 or 7, it would basically be Pokemon God of Existence. But hey, you can't have it all, right? Alright, enough with the chit chat, let's dive into the run. So here we are, facing Watson, who definitely is one of the trickier gym leaders in all of Hoenn. I'm sticking with my trusty old set of Surf, Leech Seed, Giga Drain, and Rain Dance, all backed up with that awesome Rain Dish ability I mentioned previously. This is my go-to combo for most of these gym battles, and it usually does the trick. Let me tell you though, things start to get real when you enter later gyms, and by the time you reach the Elite Four, it's a whole different ballgame, so I'm not going to be able to use this. Now, let's talk about Watson's tactics in this fight. The guy's got a penchant for volt switching around like he's in a Pokemon Showdown game, and trying way too hard. But honestly, it's mostly ineffective, and it just gives me free shots on his trio of menacing Magnemites. Speaking of which, the Magnemite line is pretty bizarre to me because it goes from one little guy to 3 guys, and then suddenly it's a completely different guy. I mean, where did those 3 little guys go? Are they okay? It's a mystery for the ages. Watson also tries to pull off some cheese with Thunderwave, but my Lotad is the king, and it just ignores that. It takes a few zaps, but eventually we wash away his team like it's nothing. Watson, buddy, you're gonna need more than some flashy moves and cheesy tactics to outshine the Stall Goat Lotad. TM again. Next up, we've got Flannery. And this one's a type advantage 101 match for me. I mean, I've got Rain Dance, I've got Surf. I'm not gonna even break a sweat in this battle. So I'm up the floor with her Pokemon, and I want to take a moment to chat about Flannery herself. Flannery's got a pretty interesting character arc here. When you first meet her, she's all like, "Welcome." No, wait. I mean, puny trainer. You've done well to make it this far. Let's see. I'm honored to be serving as the gym leader of... No, I mean, I'm Flannery. I'm in charge of here. You'd better not underestimate me, because I've only been a gym leader for a short time. With the skills inherited from my grandfather, I'm gonna demonstrate, that's right, the hot moves we honed in this land. Hiya! It's pretty clear she's brand new to this whole gym leader thing and desperately wants to be taken seriously. And her strategy for that is to act tough, be an over-the-top character straight out of a cheesy action movie. But this is the thing. She hasn't quite figured out that true strength isn't about shouting and flexing muscles to intimidate people. In her case, strength means caring for her Pokemon, striving to improve, and representing her family and community through her gym leadership. That's real. After the battle, though, her tough girl facade crumbles, and she says, I've only recently become a gym leader. I guess I was trying too hard to be someone I'm not. When I don't act like myself, no wonder my Pokemon that battle by my side get confused. Thank you for teaching me that. It's a moment of growth and self-realization that I think we can all relate to. Flannery's journey reminds us that sometimes being a kid who's probably a little over their head is part of the process. I hate my dad. My dad being Norman. I'm still running the basic stall set for this one, but I have shifted more towards Mac Defenses and Eviolite. My lily pad can pretty easily tank hits from his slacking, thanks to its Truon ability giving me extra turns to do it, and basically just sit there the entire time and wait until the heat death of the universe. Norman's mostly just annoying and gets me a couple times by encoring me into either Leech Seed or Rain Dance, though that is basically just stalling out the inevitable, and my Lotad is able to break through his team after a long time. You're not my real dad, Norman, and this is the last face you will see before you slip into a deep Leech Seed covered sleep. Next up, we've got Kirkland brand Skyla and her bird Pokemon. Seriously, every time I try to remember Winona's name, it's like chasing a Pidgey around the tall grass. I think her problem is her name is just not powerful enough of a pun to stick in my memory. Like, you've got Skyla. It's sky, right in the name. Winona, what is that? I think it's referencing wind. I don't know. But let's not get too distracted because we've got a cringeworthy battle to get through. With the speed up button, this battle is around 5 minutes, and a solid 60% of it is spent dealing with her Altaria alone. For this showdown, I stuck to my trusty set of Leech Seed, Rain Dance, Surf, and Giga Drain, but here's the kicker. The Altaria has Roost, and you can probably see where this is heading. I've got one move that is 4 times resisted, and another move that is just 2 times resisted. Altaria, on the other hand, has a move pool that is equally bad, with Roost, Dragon Breath, Earthquake, and Cotton Guard. It's like we're stuck in a never-ending loop of mutual resistance, just staring at each other, wondering how we got into this situation. Thankfully though, Roost only has 10 power points, and with a little patience, we can claw our way to victory. I am probably just going to cut out the entire Altaria part in the video and just jump straight to the final blow. That way we can spare ourselves from the awkwardness of the never-ending battle with a fluff ball. The kicker is, I have access to the move Ice Beam, so this was all avoidable. I just forgot. I'm in a hell of my own making.
10 hours later.
Next up, we have Tate and Liza, and after the last fight with Wind Nona, this is a nice reprieve. In this one, we finally unleash offensive Lotad. This time he's running the same exact set, but with Mash Special Attack and Swift Swim. So I can set up the rain on the first turn, and then outspeed the second turn and one-shot both the sun and the moon with Surf. The moon hangs on though because it is famously resistant to tides, though it goes for light screen, so we finish it off the next turn. And that's it. Next up is Wallace. In this one, we're getting back to our roots and stalling once again because change is scary. This one is pretty long too, but there's really nothing they can do to me because he's a water type gym leader and I 4 times resist water. While we're on the topic of Wallace, I think a lot of Ruby and Sapphire is much easier than Emerald. In Emerald, most gyms have a few more Pokemon, at least one more Pokemon. Tate and Liza become exponentially more difficult because they have 4 instead of 2, and basic math says 4v1 is much harder than 2v1. The champion though, Wallace, is 1,000 times easier than Steven, and I'm not 100% sure why they changed them out. Where did Steven go? What is he doing? There's probably lore. I imagine there's lore. Reasons as to why he left. I don't know those though. The main reason is Steven's team has much more variance in type, and Steel is just a much more difficult type to go up against than Water. And because his Skarmory has Toxic, and for a solo run, we'll see, that is awful. Wallace does have better style though, so I'll give him that. Actually, never mind. Ignore what I said. They made the right decision. The Elite Four. We finally made it into the big leagues, and this is where I unleash some truly insane strategies. I'll admit, there were times during this run when I thought, can Lotad really do it? But one leech seed at a time, we powered through. First up is Sydney, and boy, does he throw a wrench in my plans with 2 grass types. Not the best matchup for my lily pad, but I've got a plan. Here's the deal. I set up Rain for Swift Swim, and then it's time to start spamming metronome boosted Hydro Pumps. And before you say, hey, Lotad doesn't get Hydro Pump, let me tell you, it did in the anime and I'm counting it. The episode was called A Diamond in the Rough, and it aired in the United States on September 10th, 2016, so there. Now, back to the set I'm rolling with. Hydro Pump, Protect, Hidden Power Bug, and Rain Dance. Hydro Pump is the star here, taking out his first 3 mons. But then his pesky Shift Streak comes out and always goes for Fake Out. This stalls out my Rain, and I no longer outspeed. My Lotad can't tank both Fake Out and Needle Arm, so that's where Protect comes into play. Hidden Power Bug is our ace in the hole, and it one-shots that Shift Tree. And after that, the Cacturne comes out, which, with proper speed investment, I outspeed in one shot. On to the next one. Phoebe and her ghostly gang are up next, and let me tell you, this one's a piece of cake. I decided to unveil Own Tempo Lotad for the first time, and boy, did it pay off. Her team might be slow as molasses, so I don't even need Swift Swim this time around. Phoebe's Dusclops is the real MVP here, and it's got a thing for going for Confuse Ray on turn 1, which actually works out in my favor. It gives me an extra turn to set up, so I can easily outspeed and 2-shop her Dusclops. This is crucial because if it goes for a Curse, I'm in a real pickle. Her Sableye, on the other hand, loves to go for Fake Out, and I use that opportunity to protect. Then, on my next turn, I unleash Rain Dance, and with rain pouring down and the power of Metronome, I can one-shot everything else on her spooky team. Well, almost everything. Her Dusknoir takes a little bit extra TLC to bring down, but we eventually get there. Side note, I think this is actually the first time in a run where I've used all 3 of Amon's abilities, so that's fun. Glacia. She really threw me for a loop, and for a moment there, I thought Lotad's journey might come to a premature end. But don't count out Lotad just yet. Here's how we pulled off the miraculous comeback. You see, Glacia's lead Glalie is a real pain. Every time I try to set up Swift Swim, it would just rain on my parade by hailing on my parade the turn after I brought the rain. And going for the stall route with Rain Dish is a no-go because of the constant hail damage and the chip from her other Pokemon wore me down way too fast. It seems like this was the end of the line for Lotad's adventure. But then, like a ray of sunshine through a storm, a hailstorm, I stumbled upon this strategy. I decided to go all out with a physically offensive Lotad packing Sword Stance, Tickle, Seed Bomb, and Rain Dance, backed by Swift Swim. So here's the play that I play. I start by tickling down the Glalie. It loves wasting 2 turns with Hail and Light Screen, so I take full advantage of that. By the time it got to do anything with me, it was -2 attack, and I was feeling pretty confident. I know I don't have that much time because of the pesky hail chip, so I go for 3 Swords Dances in a row, powering up like a madman. Then finally I set up the rain with Rain Dance. Thanks to Swift Swim, I outspeed the Glalie and wipe it out with a single shot. The same went for both Frostlass. With the boosted power and speed, I also finished off the Wall Rain. This is when the rain stopped. But, thankfully, the final Glalie wasted precious time for going for Hail again, and that was its downfall. Drake. Trying to channel his inner Lance so hard. For this one, I went back to my trusty special attacking set with Ice Beam, Rain Dance, Leech Seed, and Protect. And guess what? I actually remembered I had Ice Beam this time, unlike the mishap against Winona. Here's how it all played out against the wannabe Dragon Master. I kicked off things by setting up Rain against his Altaria. This not only boosted my speed, but allowed me to outspeed and one-shot most of his team. The real thorn in my side, though, was his Kingdra. Ice Beam only does a measly 20% to it. And to make matters worse, it keeps putting my lily pad to sleep. But this is where Leech Seed came to the rescue. I could stall out the Kingdra since it wasn't dealing that much damage to me, and slowly but surely it went down. With the Kingdra out of the way, it was smooth sailing from here. His final Flygon thought he could throw a Confuser at me, but my Lotad was not having any of that. He pushed through the confusion, landed his shot, and secured the victory. Drake, you may want to be Lance, but we've beaten Lance many, many times. We're finally at the champion, and I would like to contend that this is the only set that could possibly beat him. He leads with his Skarmory, which is really restrictive to the type of Pokemon that can beat him in a solo run. This is because of the move Toxic. The type of Pokemon that can solo this run are either Poison or Steel type, so they don't have to care about Toxic, can outspeed and one-shot the Skarmory, which is pretty bulky, so this is kind of difficult to do, can outspeed and have access to the move Taunt, which was the case in my Bidoof run, or, and this is where my Lotad comes in, has the move Rest and can tank hits until it wakes up. Well, my Lotad has the move Rest, but it cannot take hits until it wakes up, so we have to figure out something from there. My Lotad also has the move Tickle, which decreases the amount of damage it takes from his super effective aerial ace. With Tickle, he can take a few hits while it gets the rest off. Okay, so I can theoretically beat the Skarmory. What about the rest? Pun intended. I tried a more offensive set on both sides of the physical and special split, and neither really did enough damage, and I took way too much damage back. So this is where Double Team comes in. I really don't like having to use Double Team, but I genuinely don't think there was another way to win this fight. For my last move, I went with Bullet Seed, the only reason being because it has the most power points of a move that does decent amounts of damage. Okay, so let's get into the play-by-play. I can Tickle the Skarmory down to -6 attack and get +6 evasion by going for that and sprinkling in rests throughout. I want to stall out his aerial aces because they ignore my evasion boosts. I also want to finish off the Skarmory on the turn my Lotad wakes up because it doesn't allow the Skarmory to have a chance to use Toxic. After I've done all that, next up his Cradily comes out, and it repeatedly misses Confuse Ray. I found this particularly funny because my Lotad has the ability Own Tempo and cannot be confused. Against his physical attackers and his Claydol, because it sucks, I lower their attack and defense to -6 to 1, save Bullet Seed power points, and 2, lower the chances they will hit me and do significant damage. And that's basically the entire strategy. Like I said, I don't think you can beat this challenge in any other way, and if you have a way, leave me a comment telling me I'm wrong. If you enjoyed this journey and want to show the support, a like and subscribe would mean the world to me. But for now, that's all I've got. Thank you, and goodbye.